Okay, so today, here's what I want to do. As we begin the offseason here in college football, I'm sensing that I'm a bit more optimistic about a few teams out there than others are being. And I'm a bit pessimistic about some others. So what I wanted to do is kind of a stock up, stock down type of take on 6 teams. So I've got 3 teams that I'm higher on than I think most or the consensus is around college football. And then I've got 3 teams that I might not think as highly of as it relates to next season. So I've got that. So 3 up, 3 down. And then some newsy stuff. We're going to get into Mr. Beast, that story about like, hey, could he just dump $100 million on ECU, East Carolina, and all of a sudden they be a national champion contender? We'll talk about that. Some chatter about non-conference schedules going on, including some blue bloods. I'll get into that a little bit later, as well as the official declaration of the schedule for the CFP next year and moving forward, which, hint, hint, it's terrible. And you're going to want to be around for what I say about the CFP later in the show. But first, let's get into this stock watch. 3 up, 3 down. I'm going to jump back and forth. So let's start with an up, okay? Here's a team that I'm a little higher on than I think most around the country. And if you really evaluate the way that they've built their roster and then what they have returning next year, I think it's time to get a little bit bullish on USC. USC is going to lead my stock up teams. And this is a team that has the experienced quarterback coming back. And we've talked a lot about that here on this show. And I think that we all now understand that's what it takes to be successful in college football. So you've got Maeva back, and Lincoln Riley obviously lost Danton Lynn, the defensive coordinator, who I was a big fan of. But he brings in Gary Patterson. I really love the idea of having Gary Patterson here for Lincoln Riley. He built a winner at TCU. He's a defensive-oriented guy. He's going to handle the defense. He's got high energy and a wealth of experience that Lincoln can use and bounce things off of. I think that is a win. Now, I think Danton Lynn is great. So I'm not saying upgrade or downgrade. I'm just saying that's a win. That's a win for USC. It's a win for Lincoln Riley to get Gary Patterson. That's one. And then here's the part that I think is actually more impactful. So we can talk about the quarterback, and certainly that's probably the most important thing. And obviously filling Danton Lynn's shoes is big. But how about getting the entire offensive line back? See, now we're talking, because now you've got a quarterback and an offensive line in the entire backfield. So King Mack, who had to basically fill in after Wayman Jordan was injured, now you get both of them back there in the backfield. So you've got what I consider to be at least the potential of the best running game that Lincoln Riley has had since the OU days. You remember those old Trey Sermon and Rodney Anderson days where they were just running roughshod over everybody, 250, 260, 270 on the ground. I think that they could be a dominant run team. And if you've paid attention to anything that I've said about USC and more specifically Lincoln Riley over the last couple of years, it's this. When Lincoln decides to be a run-oriented team, they are very difficult to beat. They were undefeated at home last year, undefeated at home. And so their ability to run the football will allow them to develop wide receivers and at least replace, maybe not completely, but in some aspect, Mekhi Lemon on the outside. And listen, I just trust Lincoln Riley and his offense for the wealth of experience that he's had every single year being able to throw the football. They're going to have somebody to throw the football to on the outside. There are talented guys there. Plus, they had the number 1 recruiting class. They did really good, a really good job in the portal. Some young players on the defensive line, in particular, Jakeem Stewart, that I really like. So again, stock up. I'm going to start with USC. This is a team that I'm a bit higher on. Schedule is difficult. There's no doubt. That's the only reason that I'm questioning this placement, but this is Lincoln's most talented roster. And again, it's good where he needs it to be good, that offensive line and the backfield. All right, now let's go to stock down. How about a team that I might not be as high on as maybe others? And I think this is partly because we all just assume that this program is going to be just fine and they'll be great. But the reality is that they have quickly descended into a place that when I think about their conference, I don't think about them initially, and I don't even think about them in the top 3. When I think about the SEC, I immediately think of Georgia and Texas. And oh, by the way, Alabama. Alabama is my stock down team. Listen, things did not end well last season at Alabama. So not only are you going to have to replace Ty Simpson, which was really the only great part of their team last year. I know, listen, Bama fans get after me. I don't hate Alabama. I want Kalen DeBoer to work out at Alabama. The sport is better when Alabama is a premier brand and program at the top. Nick Saban proved that. I want it to work out for him. But the reality is that they are coming off back-to-back 4-loss years, that the best part of their team last year was Ty Simpson by a wide margin, by the way, and they're losing Ty Simpson. I don't love what's going on down there. They were blown out by Georgia in the SEC championship game. They were blown out by Indiana. And it wasn't just that like, oh, Indiana had a great day. No. Indiana did whatever they wanted to do. They ran the ball 50 times straight at Alabama. This is not the Alabama of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and certainly not 10 years ago. So they have been trending down, and that trend, I think, is going to continue. They've got to figure out their quarterback for next year. Is it going to be Austin Mack or Keelan Russell? 0 starts between them in an era in which experience is everything that you need at that position. They're losing starters out there. Isaiah Horton, he's gone. Wilkin Formby, the guard, he's gone. Both of those guys to Ohio State. Lost 2 defensive linemen to Ohio State. I meant the offensive players, Isaiah Horton and Wilkin Formby, went to A&M. Both of those guys. 2 defensive linemen go to Ohio State. And when you look at their portal, like, it was okay. It was okay. I didn't think it was great. So to me, it's a trajectory thing for Alabama. They are on a trajectory that is down, and I don't think that is going to stop. They have to level out at some point in order to start going back up, but I don't sense that moment of them leveling out. I think that win against Georgia on the road last year was fantastic. There's no doubt, but man, I don't see this team turning it around. Like I said, I think about the SEC. I think about Georgia and Texas. Sorry, Lane. Don't think about LSU just yet. Man, why do I always get Lane in here? Yeah, it's the offseason. It's fun. By the way, leave a comment below. Do you think, should I text Lane and do a Big Noon conversation with Lane? I would just love your thoughts down below. I think it would be awesome. Lane, let's do a Big Noon conversation. It would be awesome. It'd be great. We can yell at each other. You can yell at me. I think that would be a lot of fun. It'd be right up our alley. Because, listen, go Tigers. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, next team up. Stock up. I realize now I'm stuck in LA. You know what? I didn't even realize that. UCLA. Didn't even realize that. I like what UCLA is doing in the offseason. And again, this isn't necessarily like, oh, they're going to compete for the playoff. No. I'm just talking about trends, trajectories. I think UCLA is clearly pointing in the right direction and pointing up. Bob Chesney is a very good football coach. The reason I know that is because when Curt Cignetti left JMU, a lot of those players left. It's not like Bob Chesney was left some war chest at JMU to go continue to win. And guess what he did? Continue to win. 9 wins in his first season post-Sig. And Sig took, 13 players to Indiana? And then, of course, Chesney goes to the playoff in year 2. 21-6 record in 2 seasons. He knows what it's about. I think he is a very good football coach. And he doesn't have to start over at the most important position. He has got a 2-year starting quarterback. 1 at Tennessee, 1 at UCLA. And Nico Iamaleava is 25 starts in, and he's a 5-star player. And if that Penn State game taught us anything, it's that, listen, I know Tennessee fans don't like this guy, and maybe a lot of fans don't like him because of everything that happened last offseason, right about now, and his exit from Tennessee and going to UCLA. I understand that. I really do. But fact remains, that was not a good football team except for him. And he was the one that would give them a chance, his ability to run it. And now you surround him with some better players. They brought in over 40 transfers, 10 of them from James Madison. Stop me if you've heard that before, including the running back Wayne Knight. They brought in a starting safety from Utah, Teo Johnson. He's a good player. Really highly recruited linebacker from Oklahoma, Malik Hartford from Ohio State. And the schedule's manageable. Like, again, trend up for the Bruins. I think UCLA is going to have a decent year next year. I think they could go to a bowl game, maybe more. Road games against Oregon and Michigan, clearly tough. But they miss in the Big Ten schedule Ohio State, Indiana, Iowa, Penn State, and Washington. Not bad. Not bad. USC to end the season at home in the Rose Bowl. UCLA, stock up. Stock down. It's hard for me not to put Florida State on this list. Florida State was down bad last year, and there really isn't any light at the end of that tunnel. What happened after week 1, beating Alabama, did not go well. Did not go well. QB looks like it's going to be, I guess, Ashton Daniels, who has bounced around, was Auburn's backup last year, played at the end of the season after starting out at Stanford. Like, is that the answer that you want? I don't know. And then late in the coaching carousel process, Gus Malzahn, their offensive coordinator, decides to retire. So, like, Mike Norvell, listen, I like Mike Norvell. I think Mike Norvell is a pretty good football coach. I think that's a challenging place. And they went the portal route. And then once you miss in the portal route, now it's like trying to get back on the merry-go-round once it's going really fast. It's tough to do. It's tough to do. And it hasn't worked out for them. And so now you're looking there at, in the last 2 years, they're 0-9 on the road. 0-9. Is it going to get better next year? If you just base it on who they brought in, both from the high school level and from the transfer portal, it's like, I question it. I question it. Now, how good is the ACC going to be? I don't know. But they've been good enough to beat Florida State, in particular when Florida State is on the road. So down, FSU. Up, third up team. My final stock up team is Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech made a great hire with James Franklin. That's a good football coach who just kind of like capped out ceiling type of deal at Penn State. But listen, you can't argue with what he was able to accomplish at Penn State. The guy was successful, very successful. And, you know, he didn't win some of the bigger games and they ran him out, which is fine. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. And candidly, I think he probably would have admitted like it was time for a change, but he's a very good coach. And he goes to Virginia Tech, which is, I think, a place where he can fit. He's recruited that area very well over his career. And he got Brent Pry, which is weird because Brent Pry was just their head coach, but he gets him to stay on as defensive coordinator. So they're putting the band back together. When Brent Pry was the defensive coordinator at Penn State for James Franklin, they were outstanding. Outstanding. And when I would talk with offensive coaches around the Big Ten, a lot of the times I would ask them these types of questions. In particular in the offseason, I would just say something like, hey, who was the most difficult defense to face? Not personnel, but schematics, game plan-wise. And more often than not, the answer was Brent Pry when he was in that position at Penn State. So now he's back in that position for James Franklin at Virginia Tech. I like it. I like it. They got over 20 transfers, 12 of them from Penn State, including Ethan Grunkemeyer. And another anecdotal story here, and hopefully he won't be upset with me for talking about this. Grunkemeyer played really well against Indiana, the undefeated national champ. And Penn State had him dead to rights in that game before Mendoza and Cooper go down the field and break Gus's vocal cords. But Grunkemeyer played really well. And after the game, I'm texting with Bryant Haynes in preparation for some of the future games. Bryant Haynes, the defensive coordinator at Indiana. And I was like, credit that offensive line. They ran the ball well. And he texted back, I was so impressed by their quarterback. And Grunkemeyer was obviously playing for Aller at the time, and now he's leaving and he's going to follow James Franklin down to Virginia Tech. I got to tell you, I think the guy I respect, one of the 2 or 3 defensive coordinators I respect the most in college football, one of those would be Bryant Haynes from Indiana. When he tells me that guy is unbelievable and he was hard to stop, that tells you something. So Virginia Tech, stock up. I like what James Franklin can do down there with the Hokies. And last one, stock down. Pains me to do this because you know how I feel. You know, if you've watched this show for any length of time. You know how I feel about this program. I love this program. I really do. I really like the guy that's taking over, but Utah is going to go on my stock down teams. Listen, last year they were just outside of that playoff discussion. Lost to Tech at home. That's a game that Gus and I and Ginny called. Lost to BYU. That was a tough one, obviously. And it felt like last year was really a year for them to break through and get to that level, possibly win the Big 12 and possibly go to the college football playoff. They had the line up front. It seemed to get the quarterback right and the offensive coordinator right, which they did, and then it just didn't work out in those two specific games. They did everything right. Then I got to tell you, over the course of the last 2, 3, 4 years, they've also done everything right for a succession plan post Kyle Whittingham. They've been setting this up for a number of years, and that might be what hurt them, by the way, in this whole carousel. But they've been setting this up for Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator, to take over for Kyle Whittingham at the right time. And it was going to be the Bob Stoops to Lincoln Riley and the Urban Meyer to Ryan Day handoff. And then it wasn't. And I got to tell you, it concerns me for Utah. So not only did Kyle Whittingham jump back into the coaching ranks, but he did so at a blue blood, where it was going to be incredibly enticing for others that were loyal to Kyle, that were at Utah, to join him and take a run at this thing. And that's exactly what happened. So Jason Beck, who was outstanding for them as the offensive coordinator, he leaves. And now he's at Michigan. A couple of their best players, John Henry Daly, defensive lineman, excellent player, going to Michigan. Smith Snowden, maybe their best overall player, a guy that they played on both sides of the football, was excellent at the nickelback. He's gone. He goes to Michigan. Tight end J.J. Buchanan, gone to Michigan. Their 5-star recruit in this year's class, athlete Celeste Moa. Sorry. Jim Harding, the offensive line coach. Kyle Whittingham, the head coach. Yikes. So now all of a sudden, this succession plan that was so, I think well thought out and certainly could have kept them on the tracks for what Utah is, death taxes Utah football. Now it's are they going to be that? I don't know. So I would point them a little bit down. And again, that hurts me. But Utah, everything that just happened with Kyle going to Michigan and then kind of the exits and what they got and everything, I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on there. Real quick, I wanted to give you guys some next up candidates because there were a lot of teams that I considered in those 3 spots for stock up. I thought about Kentucky with what Will Stein is doing in this offseason and what he's building at Kentucky. I thought about what Rhett Lashley is doing at SMU because he's got a lot of veteran guys back, including his quarterback. I like what Rhett Lashley is doing at SMU. They almost made my top 3 stock up. Cal with Tosh Lapoy. They've done a really good job. I love their young quarterback, and if you look at their transfer class, it's pretty good. Remember, the ACC is not a very good conference, and so you can make a big jump like that. So Cal, watch out for Cal. Most know how I feel about Kyle Whittingham, and I just talked to you all about the reason I think Utah is stocked down is partly because I think Michigan is stocked up. They almost made my list at Michigan. Indiana could have made it, but candidly, I can't put them on stock up because they're undefeated national champions. But Indiana had a great offseason. So those were all kind of candidates of teams that I was thinking of for potentially stock up. Notre Dame was on there. LSU is one of those teams I was thinking about, huh? Come on, Lane. It'll be fun. We'll have a great time. So truth be told, I'm going to get to this Mr. B story in a moment. Truth be told, I am running out of gas right now. And you might be wondering, what do you mean? It's the off season, Joel. Aren't you getting a lot of rest? Yeah, that would be the case until my amazing wife decided that she wanted to do a 72-hour water fast. Guys, I am in hour 70 and a half. No, 71 now. 71. It is Wednesday. What is it? Wednesday, February 11th. Currently, it is 5:38 p.m. when I am currently doing this right now. And I am in the last hour of a 72-hour water fast. I haven't eaten since Super Bowl Sunday. Again, it's Wednesday, February 11th, and I have not had a calorie since the Super Bowl, 6 p.m. of Super Bowl night. Now, granted, I ate a lot Super Bowl night, so I didn't feel it. I got to tell you, I know you guys have seen this all over, like online. There's all these, all these people doing it. I think Rogan talks about it. I think Dana White did this at one point, but it's all over. And she saw me like, oh yeah, your cells are going to eat all the bad cells. The last 24 hours is going to be the best. No, it's not. I'm miserable. I'm running out of steam. I'm going to get a little bit loopy here in the last hour. Right when I'm done with this show, I'm going to eat my first calorie since Super Bowl Sunday. And I'm just going to tell you, could get really good here. In this last 25 minutes. It could get amazing. So buckle up. Have any of you done the water fast, by the way? 72 hours is a long time. It's a long time. Leave a comment down below. Tell me how you felt afterwards. I mean, I feel, fine. I guess I'm just very lightheaded. I might even pass out right here. You have to watch the rest of the video. I may go forehead into the microphone at any moment, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.